Okay, so today we're actually doing a video in kind of collaboration with iFixit talking about e-waste, which is a legitimate problem if you think about it. I know Linus did a video a long time ago where he went to an e-waste kind of a recollection center where they take all the PCBs and stuff and they reclaim all of the gold content out of like the PCBs and the sockets and stuff. But you know, there's still a lot of waste when you talk about all the materials and all the lead that's in the PCBs and stuff. So today, this is probably the dirtiest, grimiest, oldest system we have still on hand. This is my old VR rig. Even though it's in a fractal node, like a HTPC, I used this for the VR headset when I had the HTC Vive in my old house. And we're gonna open it up today. We're gonna kind of take a look inside. We're gonna kind of clean it up as we sort of have an important discussion about things that you can do to reduce e-waste while making stuff that still is perfectly workable and functional, not make its way to landfills. The XG2736 and the XG2536 gaming monitors from ViewSonic feature 240Hz default refresh rates, 1 millisecond response time mode, and industry-leading 0.5 millisecond moving picture response time modes that are ideal for gamers demanding a competitive edge. Designed with esports in mind, these XG monitors feature fully adjustable and low-profile footprint stand for optimal viewing distance that professional gamers demand. To learn more about the XG2736 1440p and XG2536 1080p competitive gaming panels from ViewSonic, follow the link in the description below. I'll be honest, I don't remember the specs of this system. I want to say, I'm gonna start by just wiping the dirt off the outside. I believe this is a GTX 1080. I'm fairly certain that it's a 1080, but I really cannot remember. This was a fun build to do though, only because of the fact that it allowed me to actually put it in my home theater setup, if you will. See, look at that. Just a little wipe down. Now it doesn't have so much of that we found it at Goodwill look. It's just, now, I mean, when's the last time we saw a home theater PC layout? All right, let's open the top and see what's inside, because this is gonna be a surprise for us both because enough time has elapsed. I can see that we actually have a Cooler Master like downfire fan. I remember height was obviously an issue with this case. Oh, it's actually not all that dirty inside. Okay, so yes, this is a GTX 1080 water-cooled. Holy cow, I fit a water-cooled card in here? Okay, I don't remember doing that, but sure. I need my screwdriver here. Of course, I've got my iFixit toolkit, which is perfect for these kinds of jobs. This case used to have like not GPU, but a SSD rail that could go right here. Obviously, I'm not using it because I needed clearance for the wires and tubing and such. Darn it. Hey, wait, magnetic. Ha! Okay, so this is actually almost like a museum piece at this point. I'm kidding, guys. I'm not that far removed from reality to think that a 1080 is a relic. But it did come out in 2016. That's almost 10 years ago, holy crap. Wow, and it's still like a Halo card, if you will. You know, I honestly thought the system was gonna be dirtier in the inside, because I'll be honest, I never opened this system up and would like clean it. And there's no dust, there's not really much in the way of dust filtration on this, because I took the additional filters out. Oh no, they're still here, right here. So I guess that's the only filtration. So the way that this worked is it pulled in air through here, and it would do a cross flow. And then the only exhaust was, I didn't put any of the two 92mm fans that were possible in here. So I just had it cross flowing, and then the air was going out through the single 120mm AIO. But the reason why I'm taking this GPU out is when we talk about the idea of obsolete, the reason why a product or an electronic component would make its way to a landfill is either one, it's busted, or two, it's obsolete and doesn't work well anymore. What I mean by work well is this system right here would still be able to play quite a few games today without too much of an issue. But if we think about the modern requirements of games like Cyberpunk, Indiana Jones, Flight Sim 24, Heck, even Helldivers 2 might have been hard for this to run. But if we think about the forward-facing requirements for systems, sorry, I'm getting distracted by going, why did I do certain things that I did? Like this is a pool fan. This is something I used to do where I took another fan right here and I gutted it. And what it would allow me to have is a spacer between the radiator and the fan, which would actually give better airflow through the rad because you're not having the fan cage up against the radiator, which would then limit the volume in front of it. So by creating this air pocket between the radiator and the fan itself actually allows for better airflow and better volume through the radiator. So I just held these on with a zip tie. See? So that's all I did. Now it had some gaps, it wasn't perfect. Like it wasn't sealed up around the edges or anything, but clearly it got the job done still. Look how old that fan is. That is crazy. And I say that simply because look, it's not even PWM. It's a 3-pin DC fan. Man, do you remember when fans used to look like that? Like spotlights shining up the corners. This was actually it was a fairly decent card for its time, if you will. It was water cooled. Should be a 1080. Oh, it's a 1080 Ti. Ooh, even better than I thought. This is actually a still somewhat relevant card today. Now we've come a long way. I mean, this is a little 120 millimeter AIO. That would not cool like a 4080 Super or a 4090. Hell, probably wouldn't even cool a 4070 if you want to know the truth. That's a 250 watt card. Okay, so let's talk about platform. I don't remember what's in here. It's an X299. Holy cow. Okay, so that really dates things. That also explains why we have 1, 2, 3, 4 full-size 16X slots and 1, 2, 3 M.2s. Oh, look at my USB 3.0. That might explain why the connectivity was spotty at best when I would plug things into the front.
Yep.
Because this flips down, and that's where the connections were. And I felt like it was disconnecting all the time, so it kept pissing me off.
Oh, you had a card reader built in too.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, because it's supposed to be for like multimedia, right? So if you had videos on SD card or whatever. Well, let's plug that back in. Holy cow, look at this, Nick. You remember these drives?
Yeah.
It's 128 gigabyte SSD.
That's half a game.
Yeah. Well, if you include the fact that the OS should be on the 960 EVO. I have a 960 EVO NVMe SSD, 500 gigabyte. So what I was going to kind of segue into in the discussion about, getting rid of things and e-waste is storage might be one of the #1 reasons a person might upgrade their computer. Somebody that's maybe not savvy might think that if they run out of storage that they just kind of need a whole new computer, but that's not the case here. I'm really curious too as to what CPU is in here. It's X299. Oh wow, it's the Fatality board too. I forgot about Fatality. This is like a throwback build.
It's a time capsule.
Okay, so here's another thing to consider. Wait, is that just this? Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so permeation is a real thing. Even though it is a sealed liquid cooling system, some of it will evaporate. So what you're hearing right here is actually an excess amount of air in the system. Now, we didn't know back then as much as we know today about the orientation of tubes and stuff. So this was more than likely like this, which is not ideal, because ideal would be having the radiator above the pump fully. In this instance, the air could collect in the tubes, because as you can see, the tubes are the highest point in the loop. So right now, with there being this much air in this loop, this card would probably not have a good time under load. Like under idle conditions, it'll be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it back in and we'll turn it on and see what it is. This is probably, Nick, you wanna know the truth? It might be Windows 8. I was very resistant to going to Windows 10 for a long time. I stayed on 8.1 as long as I possibly could until like things forced me to move.
Oh.
One of the fans is broke. It's like,
I think both fans
oh wow, both fans are dead.
They're trying their best.
Come on, you can do it. Yeah! To jump start it.
Oh, that looks like it caught too.
7820X. Oh my gosh. I got 32 gigs of RAM in here. That was so overkill back then. But like DDR4 2133. That's like base clock for DDR4. Well, this makes sense. It's probably cleared CMOS, obviously. Cache size, 11 megabytes.
That's it?
Dude, 11 megs. 92 megabytes is what the 9800X3D has. That's just L3. That's 11 megabytes for the whole cache. What we'll talk about next is things I would upgrade in this system to keep it sort of in use. In use is the best way to avoid e-waste. A system like this definitely means something to someone somewhere. Like it has a use. Maybe somebody that just wants to start tinkering around with programming or start even play some of the retro games. Obviously it's not a retro system, but like, could you imagine how well this system would, are we just boot looping? I know it worked perfectly fine before. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's gonna be Windows 10 at least. Imagine playing like Half-Life with this. Some of the original Half-Life 1 and 2. You could probably even play Alex. It is not 11/11 on Wednesday, August 15th. So I think our CMOS battery is probably dead. Yeah, that's Windows 10, baby, look at that.
Dang, okay, what games are on here?
Okay, all the VR games, I told you. Zombie Training, that's VR.
Yeah.
Original Flight Sim X, Project Cars 2, Job Simulator, Steam VR, obviously, Richie's Plank Experience, The Lab, Baby Hands. Okay, let's talk about what kind of upgrade a system like this would use. Don't ever do that. I would restart and reinstall Windows, first of all. Second of all, I don't think I would change the GPU out if this is able to maintain in a certain orientation, not having that fluid percolation. If I started noticing weird temps or something with it, then yeah, we would have to change out the GPU simply because of the fact that this GPU does not have a way to refill the AIO up. Modern ones are kind of starting to come with little refill ports on them because people are manufacturers are starting to realize like that's the drawback to AIO, so they want to start supporting better long-term use cases so that you can refill them. Sorry, I was distracted by the fact that it has SLI. It's been so long since I've seen any sort of ports up there. 1080 Ti is still perfectly capable of playing many games today. Even at medium settings and even possibly high settings, 1080p, again, depending on the game. You're not gonna play Cyberpunk 1080p high with that. Doesn't have DLSS or any of that crap. The CPU on this, I would absolutely leave it. You know, I guess my true indication here that this was gonna be a fun platform I haven't seen in a while is the fact that it's quad channel, right? It's 4 sticks of RAM. I didn't see the other side because this is an offset and covered it. Realistically, I think the only thing we would need to change on a system like this to make it a little bit more maybe friendly for today would quite honestly be the drives. So even that 500 gigabyte SSD, I would probably get rid of it or move it down to a lower slot. The nice thing about this particular platform is unlike platforms today, it has a lot of PCIe channel, or it has a lot of PCIe lanes versus like modern CPUs. So by throwing in another drive, I wouldn't be worried that we're dropping the PCIe down to some stupid number. Now this is only a Gen 3 board, like Gen 3 PCIe Gen 3 was the newest generation when this board came out. But having quad channel, the RAM, maybe I would see if I could find some DDR4. It should be DDR4. Yeah, it is DDR4. So I would probably buy some faster RAM for this, for DDR4. I would find another donor system that this RAM would be useful, or maybe use it towards a fresh build for someone that is trying to build their first computer and maybe doesn't care about the highest specs, but they need something. These drives, they pretty much, in my opinion, should go. Like 128 gigabyte, that's not useful for anybody. Honestly, it's very difficult to use a 128 gigabyte drive and not fill that sucker up with one average game, let alone many games wouldn't even fit on it. So I would honestly just take my happy butt to Amazon or Micro Center or something like that and find some 1 terabyte inland drive from like Micro Center
or I think Microsoft even sells their drives on Amazon. I'm only mentioning that because they're pretty inexpensive. They're not like sponsoring this video or anything. So I think that that's the only thing the system really needs. Yeah, in terms of clock speed, in terms of IPC, it's definitely aged. But believe it or not, there are other CPUs you could still throw in this. So for instance, like this was a 7820X. Let me see if I can find for sale a CPU upgrade for this, a 7900X. For $80 on eBay, known working, 10 core, 20 thread, 140 watt. I'm sorry, I'm so used to Intel's like 253 and crap, that 140 sounds ridiculous to me.
Sounds energy efficient.
Yeah, that's $80. Or we can go even 7920X. 7920X for 109, that's a 12 core, 24 thread. So you could actually upgrade this CPU, keep the system definitely more capable. Although again, it's going to surpass many systems' minimum requirements, especially since it's X platform. I'd feel perfectly fine with that. So I think CPU, repasting at the same time. I didn't have any reason to believe that there's anything wrong with the paste on this CPU, given the fact that when at idle even, it was in the 20s. There was nothing installed on it that would allow me to do a CPU like benchmark run to see if it's getting too hot. I guess I could just copy Cinebench over from there. Yeah, let's do that. I'll put the GPU back in. The GPU's like, what do you want from me? Oh my God, I thought I was finally in the eternal sleep. Yeah. So if you look at the drive allocation here, I got 355 gigabytes still available of the 465 gigabytes on that Evo drive. And that's with all of these games. The problem is all these games are small VR games. Only a few hundred megabytes usually for those. So I just thought that was kind of crazy. Like back then that was fine. Today that doesn't cut it. It's just not good enough. I'm a computer.
Hey kid,
What?
I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading.
Packages at 61. Really? 62? 63? God, that shows how far we've come in the wrong direction on thermals. You know, actually this isn't going as bad as I thought it would be. 10,918, better than I thought. Okay, so that's not terrible, but actually the temp maxing at 71C, and we were so used to seeing CPUs now like try and jump straight to 100C. That's kind of crazy. All right, let's discuss when something becomes e-waste versus when something should just become recycled. The best way to kind of describe this system, it's kind of like Doc Hudson in Cars. They were done with me, they just threw me away. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to just throw stuff in landfills. Now, I don't think anyone watching this video believes that this is a landfill PC. By no means. There are plenty of landfill PCs that you can find on platforms like Facebook. It's funny, I actually wanted to do this video with a PC from the Facebook Marketplace. But the problem is, when I searched broken computer or non-functioning computer or whatever, I wasn't able to find much, believe it or not. Maybe that's because people don't see value in a broken PC or a broken computer for someone else. I think it would be fun to just buy what people might think is junk and try and refurbish and recycle it in some way to make it working again. You know, grandma somewhere needs a way to check her emails from her grandkids, okay? Even the worst computer would still be perfectly fine at a research computer or a homework PC or something for a family in need, a family that doesn't have the money to go out and buy even the cheapest PC in today's standards. So this stuff certainly has use. Now, you can't do anything about the fact that sometimes components do just expire, they die, right? Everything in here has a lifespan. Every sort of ASIC and SoC has a lifespan. This one clearly has not reached that lifespan. This PC was outpaced by storage demand and somewhat on the hardware performance demand. But like I said, this PC would absolutely have no problem playing games that are icons. I mean, Portal. This game could play Portal and Portal 2, no problem. Maybe not Portal 2 RTX, because it's a 1080 Ti, but Portal 2, the Half-Life saga, heck, the Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Go back and play some of the Halo games that are just like legends. There's so many things that you could do with an older PC and maybe experience those games for the first time. And so many of us have been playing games for so long. We played those games and we're like, yeah, that was a great time. And we find ourselves continuously comparing today's games to how good things were back then and then being disappointed. Why not go back and enjoy those games? It's the same reason why retro gamers, rather than playing emulators, love to actually get a retro system and play it again the way you originally experienced it. So I'm not saying that you should necessarily take this PC and then only play old games on it. It's still capable of playing new games, no problems. I even showed there's an upgrade path to it because it's not maxed out already. But if something in here was dead, like the GPU right now, I am hearing a lot of percolation, like a lot of air bubbles in this. So the GPU at this point is probably going to be fairly limited before evaporation becomes a problem. But there's even solutions for that. You can find, this is just a reference PCB. It's just the same PCB that you would find with like the Founders cooler on it. There are people up there selling Founders Edition coolers or just stock blower coolers because it did water blocks or whatever. They want to get back a few bucks. Or you just go universal. You can find universal GPU coolers, just find it for the like a 1080 Ti universal air cooler. You can find them. But there's options, is what I'm saying. Or drop the 1080 Ti and throw in there like a 3060 Ti. You know, that would perform better than this, to be honest. It's kind of sad, but that would get you a little bit more modern. You'd have some RT, but there's things that you can do that don't involve tossing it in a landfill. Now, any of those parts that are bad, like just not working, motherboard, graphics card, PSU, whatever, screens, monitors, most municipalities or cities do offer free e-waste pickup, because it's important that if you're going to generate e-waste, that it be handled in a responsible manner. Throwing it in a landfill is not good. There is lead and other things in the solder and whatnot on here that is just not good for the environment. So having a reputable e-waste recycler take this stuff and then strip the materials and stuff out of it that can be recycled into new components is important. So don't just toss it in a landfill. But I hope this discussion has kind of given some people some thoughts. I'm a little concerned by that I could not find many listings, actually no listings in my local area. And I'm in the greater LA area. You would think there'd be opportunity for finding a broken computer and trying to fix it and make it work again. The kind of thing that would end up in the trash. I suspect a lot of them don't exist because they've either already gone to e-waste recyclers or the trash. So that's a little disappointing. I'll keep searching. I think I want to do a video trying to find a broken PC and fix it and gift it or something. There's veterans, like I said, there's group homes, there's community centers that could all find uses for this stuff that don't have to be just you sitting at home playing games. There's a way to forward this technology that benefits people in a way. Anyway, huge thanks to iFixit though for sponsoring today's discussion. It's one that they're very passionate about. So there will be some links down in the description below if you want to learn more about e-waste, its impact on the environment, and things that you can do to actually limit e-waste. Especially when I talk about components that aren't working, batteries are a huge one. When batteries go bad in things like phones and tablets and whatnot, maybe things that are not the easiest, most end-user serviceable parts, iFixit has guides and tutorials and teardown guides to help you be able to actually fix the components. And they even sell the most common components that you might find that you need. Things you may not even think that they sell, they do. They tend to have a lot of aftermarket parts available, little PCBs and circuit boards and things for almost any electronic. So go down there and check it out. I think it's a huge cause that's dear to me as well, since I used to work in energy and I understand the amount of waste that goes on. Let's not have this stuff make its way into landfills. Let's have it make its way into other hands that can give it a second, third, or even a fourth life. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.